India winning this test match because at the start of the day, Australia had a lead of 62, they won for 65, and you thought, well, if they put on 250, 200, something like that, there's going to be a massive game on today. Allan Border Michael Hussey alongside me. But India have won the series, they've taken your trophy, they've retained it 4 in a row now. Border Gavaskar, that's quite unbelievable.
Yeah, two at home, 2 away.
Yeah.
So, they're a real thorn in our sides at the moment. The Indians, I think they've got us. They're just psychological. We get our nose in front, but we never really feel comfortable that we've got enough. So today was a perfect example. I mean, we had everything to play for, right? And, taking the high ground. The game's over, and 4 hours later.
Yeah.
I mean, it just defies belief. One side of that trophy's happy, but the other side not too happy.
It goes to show how good Test cricket is, though. And how tough you have to be for the whole time the game's on. You can't just afford to be good for the first innings and then just let things slip. You've got to be good and tough for both innings. And the Australians unfortunately weren't in that second innings with the bat. And Indian will be cock-a-hoop. They've retained the trophy and totally deserve it because Australia weren't good enough for long enough.
I mean, I know Australia got some young players in that team, AB. You got Kuhnemann out there as well. You got Todd Murphy, you got Renshaw coming back in. You got Travis Head, first tour to India. Lots of these learning curves that we often go through. But I suppose a lot of people watching the coverage today will be thinking about just the way they sort of lost it with their noses in front, right?
Yeah, I think I'm not sure what was talked about overnight, and the shot selections today just defy belief. Playing so many cross-bat shots.
And moving into the next Test match, what do they do? Walk out there and go, I can't sweep,
Well, it's going to be a bit like that, isn't it? Because they'll talk about it a lot. But most of the batsmen now talk about the reverse sweep as being the same as playing a cover drive. That's 2020 cricket. This is very different.
Especially in those conditions.
Yeah.
I think
it's there to play, there's no doubt about it. But
at the right time and against the right bowlers. I would like to see a few of the players put a high price on their wicket. And sort of say, OK, right, if you're going to get me out, you're going to have to bowl me a really good ball here. And then as I get in, then sure, and I'm feeling more confident, then you can certainly expand and try and play a few more shots.
Well, you look at the collapses there, the Australian collapses. First test in Nagpur, all out 91, and then the second test all out 113. But it's more about facing, less than 32 overs. That's the issue. You look at the runs, you go, OK, but it's just the speed and the amount of overs they're facing, which is answer to your point there, Huss, is that they're not giving themselves enough time. You're not facing enough deliveries early on to get yourself into a position.
They're playing a shot of ball. If you're playing reverse sweep, you're trying to score, I get it, but there's no defence. They're not trusting their defence at all. They're trying to play shot of ball, hence you make mistakes, you get bowled out in 32 overs. I mean, it's just as simple as that with DRS and the way it's all set up now with the opportunity to get a wicket overturned or a not out overturned. It's a different ball game. They've got to have a different mindset, coaching-wise and all the rest of it, playing in these sort of conditions. We're great when we play at home. Bouncy, hard, green wickets, but you're going to play a lot more cricket on those sorts of tracks. And we're found wanting.
You've got to also give credit to the bowling. The bowling's been pretty special. And Ashwin and Jadeja has been outstanding. Jadeja getting his best test figures here. I know we talk about Kuhnemann and Murphy. They've played 3 tests between them.
Well, they're 2 quality spinners. I mean, it's chalk and cheese between them and the Australians, apart from Nathan Lyon, of course. But they are so experienced bowling in those sort of conditions. And, they were just too good for our boys today. It's just, It was a great performance. Good credit to the bowling, which was very good, and they made our batting look pretty so-so, panicky.
They did indeed.
I know we've got Baz Ball, the way England play, and like the way we went about it today, we were trying to get 250-run lead in the first session. The batting they panicked, and no one could sort of drop anchor and play an innings. And
9 for 48. 9 for 48 Australia. After having a decent lead of 61 runs at the start of the day's play. The bigger picture, AB, is obviously trying to win this test match, but it happens a lot in India. It collapses, doesn't it?
Well, it can do. As we've said, you can lose wickets in clumps. Not as big a clump as that one was, but it can happen. And look, we've all played enough cricket to know that it does happen. It happened to us all, that we've played some poor days of cricket or poor sessions, but just the mode of dismissal. It was a lot of cross-bat shots that it's just not on this surface.
You look at that. Sorry, Hush. You look at that behind you there. Second innings in Nagpur, all out 91. Second test here, obviously Delhi, all out 113.
Yeah, but the disappointing thing for me is that today, this is where the whole series is on the line. Australia's in a position. Australia have to win this test match to stay in the series. If India go 2-0 up, then Australia can't go on and win the series. So, you know, this was such a critical day for Australia. And more importantly, this first session was just so important, and they've just let it slip and just, unfortunately, just given their wickets away.
Twice in 3 innings. I mean, look at that one there in Nagpur, all out 91 in a session. Second test match in a session, everyone's out. I mean, the third test match in indoor, it's going to be turning, there's no doubt about it. I mean, whatever the result in this test match, because Australia are obviously bowling now, but moving forward, batting, they've got 10 days between the next test match. The batting group will obviously get together.
Well, we've seen things like that happen before in India, where you lose clumps of wickets, the game can really speed up towards the back end or in the second innings, and you know you can lose a procession of wickets. So that's the lesson they've got to try and take out of this. It's happened twice now. Yeah. Right? How do we stop that procession? Now, is it coming in and just trying to tee off and score as quick as we can, or play all these sweep shots? Well, no, that's obviously not working. Okay, so let's try and figure out if we lose a wicket, how do we get through that next 10 or 15 minutes? Is it with really good, solid defence? Is it being able to just rotate the strike with singles? They'll have to discuss that amongst themselves, but they've got to try and put a higher price on their wicket to be able to get through that first sort of 15, 20 minutes of their innings.
It's amazing, though. We saw that in the first test match, and we've seen it in the first innings in this one, where, you know, they go to press conferences, Abe, and they say, oh, well, you know, we don't really hear about the noise, we don't read into it too much, we just try and focus on our game plan and do what they've got to do. But there's got to be a change there, doesn't there, in the mentality? But, you know, what Huss is saying, that you've got to stop the rod of quick procession of wickets falling. Yeah, well, they've got to turn off their radios and not read newspapers for the next couple of days, that's for sure, because they're going to cop heaps. But, yeah, they've got to sit down and talk about the methodology of playing, quality spin bowling on wickets that turn. I mean, they obviously have had meetings about this and how to go about it. Being positive and all the rest of it, well, that's great, but you've got to have a method, and I just don't think the cross bat is the right method. Not initially in your innings, but if that doesn't work for you, I mean, it worked for Matthew Hayden, didn't it? Well, Usman Khawaja played really well in the first innings on the back of a lot of good reverse sweeping and normal sweeping, but I just reckon as the pitch got lower, that became a more dangerous shot, so they had to reassess, and that's what Test match batting is about. Throughout the course of an innings. You might scratch yourself around for the first 15, 20 runs, but you get yourself in, and then all of a sudden the innings starts to flow because you get used to the conditions and the bowling. I do feel a little bit sorry for the batsmen at times because they don't get any... You're learning on the job, aren't you? In a test match, you're learning how to try and cope with this sort of bowling. So it's a tough one. I don't know what the answer is. I really don't. Do you think the reverse sweep, let's say, is coming to the game a lot because of T20 cricket? I mean, you're seeing the number 11, Matt Kuhneman, playing a reverse sweep, and you just go, what? Is that because of T20 cricket? Yeah, that's what's brought that in? Probably. I mean, we are seeing it a lot more in those short-form games. We're seeing ramps and all kinds of different shots that we would never have seen, 10, 15, 20 years ago. So, I think that's a fair comment. But it's about when you choose it. It's a good shot to have in your armoury, but it's about playing it at the right time against the right type of bowler in the right conditions. And I don't think they got that right. Well, I suppose also, moving into the next Test match, do they make a change? But Renshaw's already over there. It's not as if they're going to bring in another batsman, are they? David Warner will stay there, depending on what happens with concussion rules. And we don't have another spare batsman, I don't think. Renshaw comes in for Warner. It's a big ask. It's Cam Green that may make the change, but it's not easy coming into that situation, is it? It's a big ask to ask someone to come over from who's been playing Sheffield Shield cricket, say like a Marcus Harris or Cam Bancroft or something like that. Come out of Shield cricket straight into an Indian Test match with no preparation in these conditions would be a tough ask, I would have thought. Yeah, I agree with that. Cam Green, well, that might be the only change that they can make. He's the one. I don't know how long it takes for his finger to get ready, but he'd be handy if he's right. It's going to struggle, just walk in all of a sudden, into that situation where the blokes around the bat, ball turning. But at least it gives you the option of the bowling side of the equation. You can play another quickie with the two spinners and still have a reasonably strong batting lineup. So that's the change. You've got Stark Hazelwood coming back into the side as well, but batting's the problem, really. Yeah.
It definitely is, yeah.
Well done, Ravi Jadeja, picking up the man of the match for the second time, 7 for 42. Gee, you had to stick that in there about the sweep shot, didn't he?
He's saying, yeah, keep playing it. It suits my bowling style. I bowl straight at the wickets, they miss, I hit. Out.
There you go. They're going to be hard to beat India. They go 2-0 up in the series. They've won the series. They've retained the Border Gavaskar Trophy, won it 4 times in a row. Go to indoor behind you there, Huss. That starts March 1. What can we expect of that pitch?
I'm not expecting much grass on it, BJ. I'm sure they'll produce another turner. It's been working for them, and the Australian batsmen in particular have found it very hard to handle. So, yeah, well, it's funny, just the wry smile of Jadeja when he was asked about is the sweep shot a good option on this pitch, and not on that pitch, he reckons.
Yeah, I don't want to say too much. All right, let's wrap it up, boys. Well, 10 days off for them, AB. You've been in this situation as captain. You've got to lick your wounds. You've got to do the press conference, which I'm expecting Pat Cummins will be doing it at the moment. Not easy, is it? It's
not easy. And how do you get anything out of it? What did they get out of it? Not a lot. Maybe the younger spinners got something out of it. Murphy, I thought he was pretty handy. Koerneman, lot to learn yet. Nathan Lyon bowled well. Cummins didn't bowl a ball in the second innings. Bowled very few overs in the first innings. He's number 1 bowler in the world, fast bowler in the world. So there's just hopefully they're learning. That's the big thing that you want to get out of it. That they're learning that maybe you don't play the sweep shot on that sort of pitch. You've got other methods that you've got to rely on. So you've got to expand your own game as far as how you keep the runs flowing. It's not just about whacking it over the top. You've got to keep, strategically, you've got to just build an innings and, old traditional, hang around there for 20, 30 balls and then the game gets a bit easier. Just all those little things you've got to just reiterate. But as long as they're learning their lessons, what they do in their 10-day break, I don't know. Are they playing a match?
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what they do. Whether they have just a few days off altogether and then sort of come in like a normal test match sort of leading, which is normally about, 5 or 6 days? Yeah. Or do they, try and organise a match somewhere, in turning conditions and try and keep learning, as AB's talking about?